The beignet is synonymous with South Louisiana, particularly New Orleans, but the sugar-coated treat isn't the first of its kind. The calas dates back even further, a popular street food with an important history sold on the streets of Treme and the French Quarter, before falling out of popularity in the 1940s. But one man is looking to revive that tradition. Take a look.
To a slave, financial literacy was the first step toward liberation. Controlling your finances meant you could potentially buy your freedom, your humanity, from a master. The process of gaining one's freedom was called manumission, and there was a legal framework to achieve it, if one was so lucky. In Louisiana, some slaves, especially ones that were women, found manumission opportunities through food. The calas is an old New Orleans delicacy you've probably never tasted. A small, sweet rice fritter buried under confectioner sugar, made, sold, and popularized by West African slaves in the heart of New Orleans. Its past is largely hidden behind its modern culinary cousin, the beignet, but its historical impact is still here with us, especially those of us whose ancestors relied on it for survival.
It's a part of a tradition of phenomenal women who came to America as a part of that transatlantic slave experience.
Brandon Pellerin is one such descendant of this lost recipe, desperately trying to revive its popularity. Except he learned about calas the old-fashioned way, his grandmother.
Did you understand the significance of what you were eating?
Oh no, I simply was just like, let me get some of that deliciousness. I'll make time for all the other stuff later.
Of course, he did learn the history, eventually. The calas originated in West Africa. Some cultures, like the Nubes, called the dish kara, which translates to fried cake. The recipe, along with its key ingredient, rice, traveled westward during the transatlantic slave trade and landed in Louisiana around the 1700s. But the name calas was first documented in 1880.
The Treme neighborhood represents, the Calas women represent this neighborhood and the hard work that was done in the pursuit of freedom and the outcome of that success.
Enslaved women sold calas on Sundays, which is technically a slave's day of rest. The women would stand outside churches in the French Quarter or Treme, waiting for white parishioners to leave. They were easily identified by their signature looks: turbans covering their hair, long skirts, and a basket with the calas atop their heads.
They would be outside of the cathedral on a Sunday, knowing that there was a bunch of hungry people waiting to exit the church. And they took that as their opportunity to, sell the tradition. They would move about the French Quarters with baskets on their head, with calling phrases of calas, calas, belle calas, calas, calas tout chaud. And they would sell this amazing dish outside around New Orleans and, in fact, earn enough money to purchase their freedom.
What does that mean?
That means very hot in French. So it was a way of communicating based on the time they were in. Belle calas, beautiful calas, 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 very hot calas, mon gagnon.
Most of the money was pocketed by the slave's master, but sometimes slaves would keep a portion of the income. If one was lucky, they'd save enough to purchase their freedom and possibly use the money as a source of income afterward.
When do you start to see that decline of the calas? Around what time period is that?
In the 1940s, I think we had around that time, we may have had about a calas person in New Orleans around that time. And then the tradition has just kind of died off.
The entrepreneurial spirit of this dish is still alive and well in Brandon's kitchen. He's opened up a Calas Cafe right next to his home in Treme. The business is an extension of Brandon's other company, Harvest Nola. The goal is to fight food insecurity and revive the calas in the Black communities it originated from. Brandon's family dish is symbolic of a struggle he still sees in his community.
The main ingredient is cooked rice. It was that additive And that part of the tradition that not only assisted in that pursuit of freedom and economic security, it also acted as a form of food security at the time, giving people, sustaining the energy that they needed to go throughout the workday while working in an insecure food environment. My company, my line of work has been in food security, first in the community garden setting, and then looking for adaptable ways to solve the problem of food insecurity.
Now, Brandon's put a small spin on his take of this historic dessert. His are gluten-free with a lemon sauce you can use as a dip. It tastes as good as it sounds, almost as good as a beignet, maybe even better.
I just want to make sure the contributions of the people who occupied this neighborhood, who contributed the significant gifts of jazz to not only New Orleans, but the world at large. A lot of the culinary cuisine that New Orleans benefits, Louisiana benefits from celebrating.
The Calas Cafe is in the center of Treme, painted with Calas women wearing their long skirts and signature turbans. It's moving to see, really. It's history repeating itself in the purest way.